Hey everybody, welcome back. It's
What's up?
episode 125. Diego, how are you doing?
Gosh, just baffled at that number. You should have said something before we record. I would have been like mentally prepared. That doesn't even seem real. You have to be lying. Like that's just wild. I
Yeah,
can't believe that.
still
I'm
going
doing
at it.
good.
Still trying to figure out how
Yeah.
things are working. I'm just dedicated to the craft here. Diego's more dedicated
Mm,
than I am, hopping on every week and dealing with my funny self and continuing to forget to put stuff in the reels despite having an MLK day to do it. So luckily my Thursday and Fridays are opening up, so I'm figuring out
so,
this podcasting thing a little bit. So now that
so,
I'm finally getting my time management under crack, I have my rotations to present on at the end of the week. So yeah,
okay.
definitely a busy time. But definitely getting better at the time management stuff and picking up the podcast. But the actual podcasting, I enjoy doing it. I hope you do
Yeah.
too. Is what keeps
No,
you
I
coming
love it,
back.
man.
But um, I know
I
we were just
know.
talking about the Mavs and the Thunder, how crazy it is, and how the rumors were just like the Mavs
I,
should sell the team, and then they just go on to beat the Thunder, and then they lose every other game. But um, what is kind of like your
well,
assessment of the team right now?
my assessment is, I mean, after yesterday where we lost to the Hornets on MLK Day at a noon Eastern time starting is just insane to me. Like that was I just watching the game. I was like, man, this
They
is
played at noon.
yes, because it's MLK Day. I mean, giving it, and I appreciate it, right? Giving it that kind of Christmas treatment of it's a holiday, have people watching basketball. It's awesome. But geez, I mean, everyone besides Kyrie, PJ Washington, yeah, was out. Quentin Grimes was out. Jaden Hardy was out. Uh, Najee Marshall played. I think it was just tough. So yeah, I'm sad, but I'm not like Josh asked me where we are in the standings. I said I'm not checking because I have too much to do to just be depressed about where we are in the standings. And we
I
play
think I
the
heard on a podcast Trey Murphy talking about like how he and Najee were like always yapping and stuff. I love listening to Trey.
yeah.
Ever since they got Trey Murphy to talk about the
Oh
young man
yeah.
in the three, like
Yeah,
I
he's
think
pretty
he's
good.
just become my favorite NBA player. Like that's unheralded to watch,
Yeah.
just because of that and giving that insight in the game. So
Hmm.
I think they lost the Pelicans during one of those stretches. I don't know like how
So
recently they squared off, but
no,
it's a rough go for them.
I have so you lose to the Pelicans in a very close game, which actually Trey Murphy had a goaltend that wasn't called, but I didn't watch it. I just heard
That's what
that.
it
I
was.
was like, yeah, watching the score, and then who would think then that the Mavs would beat the Thunder all without Shea, but we're also without Luka. But they also don't have any center, Chet or Isaiah Hartenstein. So we beat them, and I'm like on Friday night, I was like, wow, this was nice. We won. This was great. Let's and I checked the schedule. The Hornets are next. Let's see if we can start a win streak. Nope, nope. So just two depressing losses, sandwiching an amazing win. The only team to beat the Thunder twice this year, obviously with some caveats per se, injuries and whatnot. But and we put the next three games are the Timberwolves, the Celtics, and then a very good team. But I don't remember. I just saw it on Twitter today. But a team, maybe the Cavs. But team is like I expect best case scenario. Well, best case scenario, we win all three. That's not probably not going to happen. But like realistic best case scenario, 1 of 3, we beat the Timberwolves next time. So I'm really hoping. Now that I said it, the universe will plot
For all
against
you
me.
know, they're going to beat the Cavs, and then they're just going to lose in embarrassing fashion to the Timberwolves and lose a heartbreaker to the Celtics. So
Just one game is all I ask. One of those would be fine. But
yeah,
we'll see. It's okay. I mean, the Bulls are doing kind of terrible. I think after they've lost 5 straight.
so it's they like when teams play defense in the fourth quarter, you'll be
uh,
amazed at how like bad the Bulls look. Like
just fold.
like half the time, like they almost came back on the Hornets, and then like I think they should have won that game, but then they got too greedy in that. But it was rough. Speaking of the Hornets, trade news.
Fold.
You texted me
Yes.
about it, and I looked at
Jeez.
it. The Suns finally made a move. They are going to
Dang.
acquire Nick Richards, Charlotte Hornets center, and trade away Josh Okogie for that. So the Hornets
Mm,
are also getting 3 second-round picks from Phoenix, and they're
yeah.
spending the least favorable second round 2025 pick between the
Uh,
76ers and the Nuggets. So
oh,
probably
okay.
going to go to
I get
Denver
that.
based on how the season's going. But
Yep.
Richards, 27. He's been averaging 8.9 points, 7.5 rebounds, 1.2 blocks a game in 21 minutes. So kind of like in a bench role. But
Hmm.
he averaged a double double in like all of his 9 starts,
Yeah.
like averaged in his 9 starts. So for a team that like benched Yusuf Nurkic, that was in like speculation for trading for Jimmy Butler involving Bradley Beal, like trying to
Hmm.
package um, Bradley Beal and Yusuf Nurkic, and then like the NBA regulations. I'm like, what kind of trades they need to make is just really complicated. Um, they're going from like a veteran where you're saying Plumlee, you're starting for him, is scary because you're like, okay, who's back now Plumlee? I think they have
Yeah.
their guy slash starter. They're trying
Yeah.
to follow the Dallas Mavericks kind of like
Yeah. He does.
protection and like trying to build around Devin Booker, Katie, and maybe Bradley Beal. We'll see. But what did
Hmm.
you make of this trade?
Yeah. I mean, I like Nick Richards. The only I obviously knew he was on the Hornets, but I learned a little bit about him. I think I picked him up on my fantasy team for a second, and he's pretty interesting there. And the first game he has as a Phoenix Sun, he drops 21 and 11 to beat the Pistons. So very interesting, very hopeful stuff there. He's a true 7-footer, right? You said he's 27, so that's good as well. So I think he's definitely interesting. And now you have Mason Plumlee not as a starting center. Very important because it's 2025, and Mason Plumlee starting as at center for your team is just that's just a crazy statement, and I'll just
Diabolical.
leave it at that. Yes, absolutely diabolical. So
You
yeah,
missed it. You missed a chance to say that right off the cuff. Come on,
it's
man.
true. I don't know what I wanted to say, but that should have been it. But yeah, and just Nurkic just hasn't played well, and I mean because of, I mean he got suspended by beefing with Najee Marshall and having that altercation. Also, it looks like he was sick in some way, shape, or form, had the flu or something, so that hasn't helped. But it's just not ideal what he's done. And the energy, he doesn't bring that energy that they need out of a center. Similar to what we were saying that also Iguodala was doing. Obviously, he's not really a center right now per se. Maybe Nick Richards or Mason Plumlee, under the tutelage of both of them, could develop him into a center. I don't know. Yeah, and then I think it was good for the Hornets as well. I mean, you get Josh Okogie, I guess, who is a reasonable player, veteran that's seen, played on good teams. I mean, he's been on these Phoenix Suns teams that were 60-win teams. What, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, which feels like it feels wrong, but yes,
That feels like it's been like 6 years ago. Like with how much a
exactly.
change has happened to that Suns team. But
Yes.
like I think as far as the defensive upgrades, it's good for both sides because
Oh,
look
definitely.
at you look at the Suns' weaknesses, and
Hmm.
again, I'm gonna say the same thing that I always complain about with the Bulls having Vooch on their roster. The same
Yeah.
thing with Nurkic. Like when you get into the playoffs against the top tier teams, it's guaranteed your center is going to be guarding their point guard at
Mhm.
least a couple possessions a game. The really really good
Yeah.
teams they spam it like crazy. So
Yeah.
like having a guy that can at least like serve as a deterrent and
Hmm.
reduce the efficiency on those touches. That's where Nick Richards is going to help. Like he's good at blocking shots, closing out, defensive rebounding, rim protection, like everything that Charles Lee raved about this guy is true, and he's going to add that to the Suns. I think it's going to be a great balance for what they're trying to look for, especially with the problems they're seeing with Nurkic. And
Yep.
then with
And it's
Okogie, now you
mhm.
already had Josh Green, who's been
Yeah.
he hasn't put up like the crazy elite defensive stats you expect out of a guy like him, but
Mhm.
he's been feisty. Like he's one of those guys we just watch and just like I would love to have Josh Green on my team because he just does
Yeah.
everything, all the little things to like deter an offensive player with the ball in their hands. Like if you can get them to pass the ball to somebody else, that's a defensive win. And
Yeah.
all every time I watch, Josh Green is able to force that. So they're slowly the Hornets are starting to value defense, and it shows like with their wings with the Kogi and Green, they recognize the importance of surrounding ball with that. So um, I'd say it's a pretty equal trade despite like the differences in the stats between the two players.
Yeah. No, and the only tidbit I'd want to add is that, like, what was Phoenix going to do with the Kogi? I mean, he can't really shoot. He's a great defender, but he can't really shoot. In the playoffs, you really don't want to play him because he gets guarded, like sacked off of. So
He hasn't
it
been
was a
playing
good
much. Like
that as
he's
well.
what
Yeah.
averaging like 6 points and 3 rebounds. They weren't using him. especially when you have a
Yeah.
guy like Ryan Dunn, right? Ryan Dunn
Uh-huh.
like really
Shooting
breaking
how he
out.
is.
It makes Okogie expendable. So
No, definitely. So good move for the Suns. Yeah, they've been on a good tear as of late, so this could maybe help. We'll see. Very interesting.
yeah, so it's I think because of like the contract situation, the Suns can't like trade out multiple
Players.
players because of guys.
Yeah.
They're calling it the league's second apron rules.
Yep.
So that means they can't
Yeah.
trade like um, ponies for a horse, basically, if they want to try to get Jimmy Butler. So, um,
Yeah.
like ideally, Nurkic and Bradley Beal for Jimmy Butler sounds like a reasonable deal with some like try with some pick swaps in there, but like
Mhm.
they can't do that right now. So that's
No.
for for all the speculation about Jimmy Butler for Bradley Beal. That seems very unlikely to happen unless it's just a 1-for-1 plus like picks a
Yeah.
situation like that. So, um, yeah, hopefully these minor tweaks are going to help out the Suns. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see.
Okay, speaking of Jimmy Butler, he returns to the Heat. How awkward is that? Not sure,
Yeah.
but the league cracked down on like the 7 game suspension. They're like, this can't happen because he's healthy. He's a star for your team. He's just not getting any minutes. And then we've
Hmm.
seen this with Shaq on the Heat. Like they're not
Really.
afraid to make the moves. Like and I Pat
Wow.
Riley's going to do what Pat Riley does. So um, another, what do you make of this situation? But do you think Butler stays on the Heat? Do you think this is salvageable?
I think. I think Jimmy Butler is just someone that's hyper focused on what he wants exactly. I mean, we all know how he is, right? We've said it multiple times, and I just think I think right now, right, the trade deadline's looming. He has to think, man, I got to get out of here somehow. I don't want to play here. I got to find any way to get out of here. That's what all the antics were for and whatnot. But once that passes, I think, and I've kind of heard this around from podcasts as well. It's just once the trade deadline passes and he's still there, what is he like? He has no course of action. He has no way to actually get out. So he'll just have to accept it and play for the rest of the season. Now, once the season's over, who knows what will happen, what he'll start doing. So
He
I
can't
think
just
that's
sit out because he's lost already like 2.6 or 2.5 million.
yeah,
So
that as
he
well.
it's not like a NFL where you can just hold out during training camp or some
Really,
games
yeah,
sometime.
true. A la Ben Simmons attempt, but I don't think. I think once push comes to shove, especially because he'll want to play well if he's stuck there. He wants to recoup his value. Right now, I feel like although he wants to leave so bad, he has to understand he's killing his like trade value. Who wants him after this being what the the second time in 3 visits that he has a just disgraceful, terrible exit from a squad? I mean, it's got to be on everyone's mind, and unless he
It's
puts up a
it's
crazy
giving
performance,
Kyrie energy right now.
yeah, yeah,
Like Kyrie before he landed with the Mavs. But
well, yeah,
just looking at spots, the Warriors, the Rockets, Mavericks, Suns, uh, Bucks, and the Grizzlies are potential fits. The
yeah.
Warriors don't
I
want
mean,
him because then they got to trade their future. We just talked about Phoenix not wanting
yeah,
him.
yeah,
Like
it's
for the
not
Bucks,
possible,
do you want
really.
to trade for Jimmy Butler after turning around your team and winning the
Right.
in-season cup? Like I
Um,
think your team has a lot of momentum, and like I'm not saying Jimmy Butler won't help them. He definitely will. I'm just thinking about the depth you need in the playoffs. It's going to come at a significant cost. Like they're not going to just
yeah,
like dangle Jimmy Butler for a penny. Um,
no,
so maybe the Grizzlies and the Rockets are like teams to watch, but like even the Dallas Mavericks, like trying to think of what equates like similar value, and I wouldn't touch that team for Jimmy Butler.
yeah.
Like I think their team is good. They just need to build on the little things around the roster, which
I
will
think,
which will involve growth and development. And it's the same thing where it's like, okay, Jimmy Butler instantly upgrades the team no matter where position he is. But at the trade cost, I wouldn't do it. That's the primary issue.
yeah. I mean, the biggest thing is, especially like you just said, the second apron, with it being so important to match salaries. Like, I just don't think Jimmy Butler's salary equates to how good of a player he is. Like maybe he plays amazingly, but still, my man is 35 years old. Like, you can't be paying $30 million a year. And yeah, you'd say Paul George got this huge extension. Paul George also had an amazing season last year, and even then, this season it's been an absolute debacle. It's been terrible. Not of his own fault, but yeah, like it's just you. I feel like you have to think a little bit how much he's getting paid, and I feel like it's very difficult to make that math work and have it. Like in my opinion, for the Mavs, I see no reason to trade for him because you have a team that's gotten to the finals, and yeah, maybe people will say it was fluky, whatever. I think still possible finals contender, finals reaching team. I don't know what Jimmy Butler does because Jimmy Butler, salary wise, takes guys away, takes multiple guys away. So I don't think it's that worth it. Like you said, depth and whatnot. So just a big thing.
And just the other thing, like I talked about O'Neal in the beginning. Dwayne Wade had a contract dispute. He ended up returning to the team. So
Yeah.
I think it's Miami playing hardball here, and Jimmy Butler just looking at the situation, and being like, "Wait, this isn't the James Harden situation. I can't just talk my way out of this." So it's
Yeah.
oh, there's gonna be it's Jimmy Butler. Whenever there's rough patch, it's gonna be put out to the surface, and it's
hmm
kind of like the expectation on Jimmy Butler's end is that like whoever's dealing with that will deal with it head on and accordingly. I think
Yeah.
Pat Riley's just a strong figure in the Miami Heat that he will do that. I think the beginning was kind of
hmm
rough because he's like on the stubborn end where he's not really trying to understand the player. Like
Yeah.
if I was Miami, I would have tried to figure out how do we get the most out of Butler despite knowing he's 35. And plus we got to
hmm
think about post Butler with this team, with Hero, with Adebayo. And I didn't think they did a good job with that. Like in the very beginning. That's served as a spark for how Jimmy is being right now. So
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's just figuring out exactly the balance between what they want to do and if there's anything that he can still do with them. I don't know, but yeah, very interesting situation here. Not very surprising when we're talking about Jimmy Butler, unfortunately, but we'll see where it goes.
lately we've been talking about the Detroit Pistons. Everybody's
Yeah,
talking about them. Massive turnaround, being over
true.
500 after being the laughing stock of the league. And
For many
going into this
years.
draft class with Cade Cunningham and Jalen Green, we knew it was about to be like rough when they started going at after each other in the summer league.
hmm
And when you
Yeah,
see like when you see Cade Cunningham after every Jalen Green basket running up the court, like trying to get back and score and trade buckets, like taking it personally, like
hmm
emotion is just a fraction of the game, but that's how you generate momentum. In football and basketball, like emotion definitely plays a large role in like how games are like won or lost. And
yeah,
I think this rivalry showed that. It's refreshing for like a buddy buddy league that's happened for the last
true.
10 years that I just can't stand. Um, so Detroit comes out with a huge win, 107 to 96. Um,
Wow, yeah.
yeah, like when 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 I read like when Cade Cunningham calls a meeting, like stresses that everybody
Uh,
needs to be on the same page, stresses that they
mm,
cannot be outworked, fire them up, like coming off a 2 game losing streak. This game like basically was the NBA finals for him. It meant a
yeah,
lot. So this was a huge game.
yeah, yeah. I just think in terms of this rivalry, it's just yeah, it's very interesting how I don't know. I never thought Jalen Green had much of an opportunity as the number one pick just in that year, and I think he's always just taking that as a huge chip on his shoulder, because he wasn't like the guy. He didn't go through. He didn't. Well, he wasn't the guy on G League. What was it? Yeah, G League Ignite. That's what he went through. It was like similar to Kuminga, Dyson Daniels, all these other guys, but comparatively, like Cade Cunningham went to Oklahoma State. He was the guy on that team, got them to the tournament. Maybe he felt because of his separate or his different way of getting the NBA, he felt like people didn't value him the same way. But I don't know. Jalen Green's always been a bit of a mystery, and yeah, Cade Cunningham kind of has been too until this year. But I think a big thing is just waiting for the consistency out of Jalen Green and seeing how, especially I think is this year an extension year for him? I believe so, something like that. So it's an interesting dynamic between the two, and I do agree. It's nice to have those rivalries, but a big thing about the buddy buddy rivalries or buddy buddy like nature of the league, is who would you compete more against? Some random guy you see it like for us, I guess. Would you compete more against the random dude you see in LA Fitness, or would you compete more against your good friend that you know like you're just gonna like when you guys play each other, it's gonna like be balls to the wall, like hard play, hard fought game. Like that's what I've noticed from like playing with my friends. I don't have any brothers, so I don't have that experience, but I know like maybe you, Josh, you have your brother. Like I can imagine
I
like
have you, man. When we played last time,
yeah,
I went hard.
true,
I couldn't
true.
let it go that I had to beat Diego 2 times. So
This is
I was like,
true.
if I lose to Diego once, and thankfully I didn't, he has to live with that now, and he has to bring it back. I know
True.
that feeling, man. Like again,
Yeah.
emotion is a large part of the game here, so totally get what you're saying.
No, yeah, but definitely interesting to keep an eye on. It could be a big rivalry. I imagine just in the future they're in a finals against each other would be quite the storyline. Now, obviously, a long way to go for the Pistons. Rockets, I feel as well, but it's way more believable. But
The
an
Rockets
interesting
are this
storyline.
year's Timberwolves to me.
But they feel so much younger is the thing. Like the Timberwolves have Gobert, have Towns, have Conley, and yeah, you say Steven Adams, Fred Van Vliet, Jeff Green playing minutes in 2025, but um, yeah, I don't know. I find it interesting.
I like how you started to be like they're nothing alike, but then when you started listing the players, you're like, wait, I don't know about that take. That was gold.
Well, it's just I feel like they're a lot younger is the big thing for me. And but there's both defensively oriented teams that really bread their butter that or butter their bread that way. There we go. But yeah,
Man, you're flustered right now, man. What's going
I
on?
am kind of flustered.
Good.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on with me. But
I just looked at I the reason why I called them the Timberwolves is just like the energy
mhm,
they play with and like
yeah,
the head coaching type of style. Now Chris Finch has like squandered a lot of fourth quarter games.
yeah,
And the new roster this year was like that. But last year he like fully understood the defensive
mhm,
assignments that each guy had. It kind of feels that way with Udoka, um, where you have a team that's as stingy as the Thunder on the defensive side of the ball. And you have like
yeah,
offensive superstars figuring it out in Jalen Green and Alfred Şengün. Like
yeah,
that's like your Towns and Edwards to me. And I just think the energy of the overall team is really good. I actually like their depth a lot more than the Timberwolves. And it's
yeah.
surprising because like I really like Nas Reed and Nikhil Alexander Walker
I
and Jay
love
McDaniels.
Nasri.
Like,
Yeah,
but I think the Rockets have like a higher upside because of the types of wings they have. Like the
mhm,
Wolves, like the Wolves had that, but like the Rockets just said, okay, scale that by 1.5, and it makes you like it that much more when you have Amon Thompson and like Eason, like
yeah,
that you could just like roll out
yeah,
at any time. That's really helpful. For
yeah. I
Green,
mean, those.
like he had a rough game, I think, but Western Conference Player of the Week going into this. Like Cade and Green have been having good months, and
Yeah,
like Green, just look at Green stats. He's under 30 points, slightly under 30 points a game, 4.2 rebounds,
jeez.
2.7 assists on 0.528, 0.494, 0.927 shooting splits. That's
Okay.
that's field goal, 3 point, free throws.
Yeah,
That's absurd.
49% from deep is insane.
He's equally efficient from 3 point as 2 point, like based
Yeah.
on that, like percentage wise. That's
Mhm,
crazy. So like, and you have the Pistons like doing well this year.
mhm.
So I think what I think what he has to figure out is how to deal with blitzes, which he's figured out to some extent. But
Yeah,
like when you when you're taking 21 shots to get 19 points, that's a hard recipe for your team to win. Just from the
yeah,
efficiency standpoint, as far as like because now it's like maximizing possessions and trying to get as many 3 point makes as it can at that possessions because it's just the math. But um, I think I think learning as he's getting more experience to see how to respond to different blitzes, whether to split, whether to throw it, like when to throw it, all that
yeah,
stuff matters, and like the timing of the scheme and the play and like your playmaking. Like just because you have a favorite spot or like you have spots on the court, you can get to them at any point in time, but it's important to dictate to the defense what they're going to present at you. So I think he has to figure that part out, but he's very close.
mhm. Yeah, and I think a big thing for Jalen Green was just when he came in the league, he's this athletic like specimen, right? And just getting his mind. to the same speed as his body is a big thing. Not playing too fast. So yeah, I think he's getting there, but going to be interesting. I like I said, want to see where this rivalry goes, and also with the Thompson twins also involved in this rivalry. Very fun, very interesting.
Yeah, I almost forgot about that.
Yeah.
Guess how many? And just a crazy Cade stat here.
Okay.
Where do you think he ranks on triple doubles this year?
Uh, I'd say second.
Close, very close. Third. He's
Gosh,
only behind Nikola Jokic and LeBron.
my goat. Pretty real.
Second
But
best player
yeah.
of all time there.
Anywho, I was literally about to say. That's why I was like, for third. I didn't think. I just used my gut. But yeah, no, that's a good stat. He's balling. He's balling, and I like that.
Yeah, and the other thing too is he's behind Trey Young, I think, as far as like assists. That's the only guy.
Yeah.
Like he's having a really, really good season playmaking, and you're finally seeing it with more talent to the surface. So, yeah, looking forward to this matchup for years to come. Like obviously when Steph, KD, LeBron, like Harden, Kawhi, Paul George. I'm getting sad listing them out, but when they all retire, like these are just two more names to add to the list that are closely following Ant, SGA, Jokic, like Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown. Like this is exciting. This is exciting.
Yo, nice forgetting Luca. But anyway, yes, it is exciting.
Who's that? Is he good?
I wish he was playing. That's all I wish. But yeah,
I don't want to hear from you after you forgot about Luca and Kyrie last week. Okay.
I didn't.
Don't be talking to me about Luca. Like he's your boy there. Come on.
He is my boy. But yeah,
All jokes aside, I know you wanted to talk about this matchup a lot. A lot of hype behind it. A
yeah.
little bit of a dread, but I'm not too concerned about the 20-point blowout that the Thunder had in the Cavs. Just wanted to get your thoughts on like from these two games we saw of them, potential NBA Finals preview. What do you make of the game?
Well, at least as a preview, or I think at least the second game was just it was a big just clap back by the Thunder, right? And just the way like I love the way they just took that loss against the Cavs in Cleveland and said, you know what, we lost, whatever. Let's come back and give them the work. And that was kind of a nice thing about this mini series. It's not even an actual series, but just having them play like this in this form was very interesting. And I think the biggest thing is just Donovan Mitchell getting clamped up by Lou Dort and the rest of their just goon squad that's gonna like clamp you down. I mean, Alex Caruso, Jalen Williams, Aaron Wiggins, just a bunch of guys with length. Cason Wallace. While I was watching the Mavs game against them, Cason Wallace is 6'4" with a 6'10" wingspan, man. That is scary. And he's so fast. Like, just, yeah, I think that's the biggest thing about the Thunder. Like, they're going to hustle. And the biggest thing as well, another big thing, was that the Cavs got murdered in the turnovers and points off them. 17 stocks to the Cavs 7, right? That's just huge. I mean, they even shot, well, what do I have? I have it written down here. The Thunder shot 15 more shots overall and 11 more threes. That's a big reason why you win that game by that much. I mean,
And the Cavs shot like 31%, I think, from threes. Like that was not a good night for them.
Yeah, and even with more shots, the Thunder still shot a better percentage from the field and from three and free throws, even though the Cavs had more free throws. Classic Thunder not getting the whistle as much. But yeah, man, I mean the Thunder are just very scary. I could see this being a finals preview just because the Cavs I think are just head and shoulders above the rest in the East, including the Celtics who are just struggling right now because of the shooting percentage. But also just I don't know all these performances, this whopping of the second best team in the league by a team that didn't have I don't even think they had Isaiah Hartenstein. They for sure didn't have Chet. It's just insane. Once you have those two twin towers either playing together or just 48 minutes of a true center on the court, it's gonna be completely different. And I mean, in this game, was it in this game or the game before, or in the Mavs game? I was in because of how down bad the Thunder are with their centers. They signed this dude off the G League named Brendan Carlson, just some guy off the G League because they need a center. they're that down bad center at the center position. Like they've, it's just insane, and they are still being able to destroy teams like this. And I haven't even talked about Shea's 40-point game on 26 shots. It's crazy, and he had the highest plus minus of 32. Like insanity here. And last note I wanted to say is just this feels like a bit of a one of many blowouts recently. I mean, last night the Warriors got mollywopped by like 40 in Chase Center.
Sorry,
Yeah.
man. My Wi-Fi just came out. I completely it just completely stopped. So I
Oh,
missed
you're
like the
good.
past 30 seconds. I feel terrible. How are you
No, you're
doing?
good. I'm good. I was just saying like this was insane by the Thunder that they play this way without a real center.
Yeah, I mean, but to be honest, they're comfortable with that small ball lineup at this point.
Yeah.
They're fine just like rolling out SGA, Jalen Williams, like Casey Wallace, like Lou Dort.
Yep.
If it comes to that, like they're perfectly capable of playing. And Alex Caruso, how could I forget about him? Like they're
Yeah.
comfortable rolling out those five. That's which is insane to me. But
Yep.
what this
Mhm.
game told me after watching the Cavs the first game is that whoever hits 70 wins first, or whoever ends up with more wins at the end of the season,
Mhm.
is a is a lock to have like a major advantage in the finals.
Oh
Because you
yeah.
think about how the discrepancy between how the Cavs shot from three and then like the energy that picked up in the Thunder, like when they're at
Mhm.
home, like
Yeah.
that is huge. Like
Mhm.
I'm not too worried about the inexperience between the two teams because of like the Thunder just got that experience. What I am worried about the Thunder is their shooting because they
Yeah.
shot really well in this game. Which when you're
Mhm.
looking at the Mavs series in their first Thunder Cavs game, like that was an anomaly compared to that.
Yeah.
And the Cavs have traditionally underperformed in the playoffs. So those are my two worries there with the other two teams. But other than that, everything you said about the Thunder is like absolutely correct. Like defensively, they're just
Yeah.
going to be in like a nightmare. And the big thing I saw looking at this matchup is like who's going to guard SGA? Like,
Yeah.
are you gonna have Isaac Okoro do that? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, when you're looking at the rumors for the Cavs
Mhm.
looking into Cam Johnson,
Yeah.
that'd be nice. But I think they just don't have the best answer for SGA. And like you said, the Thunder do for Donovan Mitchell. Like he's the head of the snake, and until
Yeah.
the Cavs can prove they have like a one single guy that can take task on a guy like SGA, which is very difficult to do by the way.
No, it
Just make
is.
him inefficient, not as
Mhm.
efficient as he's absurd, like where he's getting like 30 to 40 in the sleep. No, we don't want that SGA. We want him to like scrap and claw to 30. If you can do
Yeah.
that, you have a chance. So those are the two major things. There's a couple other things, but those are the two things that stand out to me.
Yeah. And this last thing, I was kind of saying when you came back out of your Wi-Fi like outage, slumber, whatever, that this was a big blowout, and there's been a few blowouts. I mean, I think did the Clippers? Yeah, the Clippers clapped the Lakers, and then last night the Celtics just wiped the floor with the Warriors, beating them by 40. I think at the end of the night in Chase Center. So it just feels like after a stretch of really competitive games, we're getting into a few blowouts. Interesting trend in the league. It's basketball in January, so I don't know. It gets kind of dicey, but we'll see. We're getting the All Star break coming up. Trade deadline coming soon. I always say trade deadline is like NBA, like Christmas for NBA fans because anything can happen. Um, it already started with the Nick Richards trade. We'll see. See if there's a lot more happening. I want as much as possible, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's just the nature of the league with more 3-point efficiency and just
Mhm.
absurd shot making. Like
Yeah,
it's to be expected that like when one team's making threes and the other one doesn't, suddenly balloons up to 30 in a matter of like 5-10 minutes. And you're just wondering what the heck. But
yeah,
one last thing on the Cavs and the Thunder game. Um,
mm,
both of these teams are like really good at like first quarter net ratings. What
yeah,
that tells me is like your execution and your purpose from
mhm,
like little things like jump balls, like coming out of quarters, half times, timeouts.
Yeah.
The start matters for both of these teams. Like
Oh,
because they're so
definitely.
game plan and adjustment oriented. Like it's for the Cavs, you could see that completely at the end of that first matchup, where their execution was like tremendous, and then the shot making I was talking about with the Thunder just bit them in that game, where they just could
Mm.
not buy a shot, and everything just looked hard to get
Yeah.
points.
Yeah.
Whereas the Thunder at home last Thursday, like
Mhm.
they playing off that energy from the crowd and like starting off the way they did, where they rattled off. I think it was like 119 or like something like that points in 3 quarters, including like
Yeah.
87 in like the second and third quarters combined is just ridiculous. So um, I think just starting the quarters off, especially the first quarter,
Yep.
super key for both these teams to have success.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. It's just, yeah, they're just so dominant, especially at the beginning of the game. I mean, the Thunder I think they had a 32 run in this game against the Cavs. So in that first quarter going into the second, so
They
insane
led by
what
as
they
much
do.
as like 42 points. So I mean,
Yeah.
I would not expect that to be like the finals preview. That would suck. I think the
Yeah.
Cavs are a much better team. But yeah, not a whole lot of interesting games today. Like because
No.
you got the Knicks in Brooklyn, like Orlando, Toronto. Like not any must-watch games. Like
Mhm.
even the night games, you have the Lakers versus the Wizards. No, thank you. So, sorry
Yeah.
guys. I think it's kind of like a mid a mid slate, but we hope you enjoyed this episode. You can watch us on YouTube at Amount of Mission. Follow us on our Instagram page down below, right there. Um, Diego, before I let you go, I just saw this balloon just now. So what's going on?
Oh,
What do you do?
I don't know. I was tweaking. I was trying to change to get the that game on the New York Nets game. I thought we were just gonna keep talking. So I tweaked. Fumblage all over here. Oh,
It's all good, man. You good? Alrighty, guys. Take it easy. Take care, and we'll see you next week.
so yeah.